Oliver, brilliant
Yes,
presentation. Well done. Enjoy that?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thrown into the fire.
Okay, now what we're going to do now, for the next 10 minutes, we're going to go and explore one of the, let's say, the solutions that you've been a big part of yourself.
Yes.
And it's one of the ones, to me, if we start walking, has really, I don't know, it's been fascinating to see, because it's what we've come here for, to see is these different applications, the different ways that automation can impact businesses and how it can be used. And this is, what do we call it, the recycling?
Yeah, the Recycler Robotics.
Recycling robotics.
So
okay.
Recycler are a company, a startup company, born out of the Imperial College London. Two young guys had an interest in obviously understanding how they could use their degree or master's degree and doctorate to better utilise AI in the recycling industry.
Okay.
We're very lucky to have partnered with them. It was kind of an off-chance kind of meeting where this spanned from, which we're very, very sort of happy to have had.
Okay.
And it's now got to a point where actually we've got systems on site, both here in the UK.
All working? All doing what
They're
they
all
should be
working,
doing?
they're absolutely all working.
Okay.
And we've learned a huge amount, yeah?
Yeah.
It's been a great exercise, obviously, from a development point of view from FANUC, but also with a view that actually, as a sustainable solution, sorry, I'm going to come in there.
That's fine. Yeah.
As a sustainable solution, it gives a huge opportunity for us to develop a solution using robotics that we can see would potentially be taken up across every county in the UK, every council in Europe potentially, because they have to have a real look to the future and how they're going to develop recycling.
Now, I was only saying in a lunch break I was having in our territory, whatever you want to call it, where we got all these setups for the live, saying how I visit the Tidy Tip and there's always guys there picking bits of rubbish out that shouldn't be in the relevant bins.
Absolutely.
Is that what this is solving?
Absolutely, yeah. So
what's it doing? Tell us what it's doing.
So when you put your recycling into your bin at home, and it gets taken away on a Wednesday or whatever it may be, it gets taken to a recycling facility, a material recovery facility, MRF. Now, what Recycler are doing is taking that content from your bin and effectively putting it through an AI-driven vision system. Now, AI, as we know, is kind of the next big thing. Yeah, it's learning and deep learning, machine learning, and what this effectively does is gives us the ability to actually learn from the data we're receiving. It was very, very clever in that respect. What that information is doing after some analysis is then giving the robot, that's sort of the next stage in the process, the ability to track that data down the conveyor stream, understand what it is we're looking for, and with a few parameters we can say we want to look for milk bottles, for example. Yeah, that robot will then pick out every milk bottle that it sees, yeah, and collect data to either improve yield, that robot will pick up rubbish that will improve yield, yeah, or actually or reduce the amount of data or sort of waste that's actually going into landfill, which is the most important thing.
Okay, let's go this way. Squeeze past, because I want to go by the TV. Come this way, Oliver. Sorry, guys. Can I just jump in front of it? So, there's no better way of showing what we're actually doing here.
Absolutely.
There's a few things that spring to my mind. Okay, firstly, the AI.
Yes.
So what we're saying is that this is learning as it's going all the time. It's becoming cleverer and cleverer.
Absolutely.
Every second, every microsecond. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the vision system uses a fairly low-tech camera, but the intelligence is actually in the system that's driven by NVIDIA, and you may know that name from, say, graphics cards and high graphics processing capability, and Microsoft. Yeah. So these two companies have partnered with Recycler at a very early stage to help deliver a package that will be able to analyse and give the AI side of it enough power to actually give us the result we're looking for. Yeah.
How much is it missing? How many mistakes is it making?
It will make mistakes, of course it will, but what we have to do is learn from that, and that's what the AI does for us. Now, what we have is the ability, say, for example, in a mixed recycling facility, you will have different types of plastic. You'll have cans, you'll have films, paper, fibre, through that facility, and it's using the AI to understand what they are. Now, Recycler do that in a number of different ways. The camera will pick up, say, for example, brand names. Yeah, if it sees a Coke can or something like that, it knows that it's an aluminium Coke can. Yeah, if it sees a Heinz tin, it will see it's a steel tin. having that analytics and that understanding of what it is you're looking at gives you much higher yield of the actual recycling that you're looking at.
So the further in time we go, the more intelligence is going to be collected, the more accurate this is going to become.
Yeah.
I mean, what about if something is on top of something?
Of course, it can't see what it can't see. You know, it's sometimes limited in that respect. There are other systems on the market that potentially this waste would go through as well. You know, there are already systems on the market that don't use robotics. What this does is it gives us the ability to sort of pick and choose the waste we want to actually collect. One great example of that I recently found out is that, say, your plastic milk bottle you'll get from the supermarket is a certain type of plastic. If we know that we want to try and pick just that plastic, it's worth £500 per tonne to that recycling company. Yeah, can you imagine the payback that you'll get from a tonne of milk bottles? Yeah, I may even start collecting them myself.
Wow, so it's not just good for the environment, there's a multitude of benefits to this. Yeah. Is this how it was done before? Or
actually, what you see here in this video is actually some of the testing that we've been doing.
Right. Now, so is this a process, though, that has a lot of manual intervention? This does happen in recycling.
Oh, absolutely,
centres.
yeah. So in this particular video here, you would see what it's being done in for real. You've got a number of guys there with high vis on that are actually collecting certain types of rubbish using their own eyes in quite a nasty environment, in all honesty. It's trying to find those people in the first place is quite difficult. So in a environment where people don't want to do those sorts of jobs, this kind of robotic application is going to be absolutely flying out the door. I'm pretty sure of that.
Let me just try and think about where else could this be applied to. Now you've developed or been part of this solution, you must now be thinking as FANUC, okay, where can this be adopted in other areas of the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we see at the moment is that particular brand names are actually asking Recycleye to actually adopt work on their behalf to try and generate a circular economy. If we can start pulling back certain brand or materials, say for example Tetra Pak, by actually only sorting Tetra Pak at one of these waste recycling facilities, it gives the kind of a circular economy, and it benefits everyone, because they'll get back the cartoning or whatever it is they're looking for to recycle into their future product, and it's a great way of working.
It's unbelievable, Oliver, unbelievable. And I want to just go back to the hardware bit here. Can you tell me which areas of this is yours and which bits you've been involved in and maybe haven't?
Yeah, so the intelligent part from Recycleye is the vision system, okay? What we take from Recycleye is a stream of data that gives us an idea on what it is we're looking at, so the material type, where that is on the conveyor belt at that point in time that the picture is taken. We put that into our software, so it's a FANUC piece of software that works alongside the robot, and put it into a queue. We're then driving the robot to say, okay, pick up every Coke can, milk bottle, whatever it may be, and put it into location A, B, C or D. And typically we would have up to 4 different locations we could put that particular piece of waste. So the one robot could potentially sort up to 4 different waste streams from the same infeed.
And how fast can it go? I mean, what's the limitations? The faster you go, the more it's going to miss? Or
so typically a person on one of these facilities will be picking around about 45 picks per minute, okay? Different components into a different bin. The robot can achieve at least that, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing it, So typically with the systems that we've installed already, which are slightly different to what you see here, with an articulated robot, a yellow robot, we're picking at around about 50 to 60 picks per minute, With the Delta system, which is still to be tested, we expect to see up to 60 or 70 picks per minute.
Less mistakes as well, more assurance and accuracy on what it's picking up.
Absolutely,
part of it.
Working through the night. So multiple shifts and
the wins are just outrageous, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely.
For me, I look at this and I'm now thinking, has this been one of the highlights here at the show for people to see, just because of the nature of everyone can directly associate what's happening here, can't they, with their everyday life?
Absolutely, I think it is probably one of the highlights. And for me personally, having been involved with Recycleye for 12, 15 months over the COVID pandemic period, working over Zoom and now seeing the fruits of our labours, kind of the virtual world, seeing them actually installed is fantastic, Obviously, my previous talk, we've just been through it, but one of the key things we want to do is work with OEMs. OEMs like Recycleye using our own products or using FANUC products within their own product to the end user is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, this systems integration, this partnership is massive here, isn't it?
Yes.
And we talk about the apprentices, throughout the day today, actually.
Yeah.
And we've invested heavily in apprentices at MTD CNC,
Yeah.
and the youth are definitely
Yeah.
the future. And that's been a big aspect of what we're looking at here today
Yes.
as well, hasn't it? I mean, for
Absolutely.
those that haven't seen
Yeah.
some of the streams so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, recycling themselves are probably, I think every employee is probably sub 30 or 35. You know, they're a very, very young company.
Like me
Absolutely, and me. Yeah, so
I've seen you on a football pitch.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, Recycle are a very young company, a start-up company. But the way in which they're obviously approaching the market is the way in which many startups do. You know, it's no longer as you build it from the ground up. Now you look at investment schemes, investment companies that can actually help give you that step up. Yeah, the last investment round from Recycle I received was £3.5 million through lots of London capital and investment firms. Now that's a hell of a step up.
Yeah.
And that's the commitment that they get from industry in actually giving the end waste management facilities, the Veolas, the Biffers, the Suez of the world, if you like, the right equipment for the future of recycling.
What do you think to someone that would look at this and go, well, okay, those jobs, they're not great jobs, but they're jobs, those people
Yeah.
doing that, and they're going to be now thinking, am I going to be out of a job?
Yeah.
I know we talked about it a lot, but again,
Yeah.
it's a real case in point because
Yeah.
people might be thinking,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get my paycheck at the end of the week because
No.
the robot's doing it.
I mean, in this particular case, I think there'll always be a need for some manual sorting. Yeah, there'll be a case that obviously some of those people will be retrained to manage the robots to ensure that the robots are running in the best efficiencies.
I think that's
Yeah.
quite a good. I'd like that. That's quite a challenging job, isn't it?
Absolutely,
to be
yeah.
able to up
Yeah.
your accuracy of the pickups or your
Exactly that,
efficiency of it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and there'll be maintenance tasks, and people will have a better way of working within these facilities. You know, end of the day, what we need to do is recycle more. You know, by having robots working alongside people, that's one way of doing it.
Yeah. Now we've literally got a couple of minutes left, and I'm going to take
Yeah.
you somewhere now, Oliver, where I know you're very familiar with as well. This is
Yeah.
one of your tending solutions that you've
Yeah.
got here, working in conjunction with Mills CNC, and this
Oh, yeah, okay.
this is another area which exemplifies, if that's the right word, how your partnerships do work, isn't
Yes,
it?
absolutely.
This has been, and quite luckily there's no one by it at the moment, so we can look at it, but. This has been a real success of a partnership, hasn't it?
Absolutely,
between
yeah. So we're very lucky that Mills, as a distributor of Doosan machine tools, are able to use the FANUC interface between control and CNC to the robot itself. So using a fairly simple interface, they're actually able to benefit from that relationship between the CNC and robot. The fact that it's FANUC control and CNC working together gives them a huge advantage. Sorry.
Now this is a tray system, isn't it?
Yes.
So basically you load the trays up the other side,
Yes.
and then the robot goes in.
Yeah.
Why the industrial robot here compared to a cobot? Quite a common question, but
Yeah,
it'd be good to know the answer.
So in this particular case, the reach and the payload requirement that this particular application to reach into the lathe requires has meant that we have to go for a yellow industrial robot. Now what they've done here is used a floor scan system to ensure that you can still work potentially with limited guarding, but actually with a safe space in front of the robot. So should you walk towards the robot will slow down and then stop within the relevant safety standards. Yeah, this is actually a more and more common solution. You'll see across many different machine loading applications. That's the way it's working.
Okay, now I get the benefits of that, but is it more expensive to do this with an industrial robot than it would be to with a cobot?
I think it's pretty much on par in terms of cobot versus industrial. Of course, the industrial robot is actually slightly cheaper than a cobot of its same size. I mean, we don't do a cobot of this size that would be suitable. What you do have to add is the guarding solution and the safety solution around that industrial robot. So I'd say they're pretty much on par at the moment. So,
and it isn't just Mills CNC, is it? It's plenty of other vendors that you're working with, as you can see.
Yep.
A wash here at the event.
Absolutely.
Oliver, thank you very much for this tour. Well done
Yep.
on your presentation. I know
Thank
there's
you.
lots more to come this week.
Yep.
Now there is another. There is another few panel discussions and speakers coming up in due course in the next few minutes. So we're going to end this breakout session now, but keep tuned to MTD CNC, not just for the rest of today, but tomorrow as well, where you'll learn so much more about automation and what FANUC and their partners can provide you with. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Oliver.
Right.
Well done, mate. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Well done. It's good. That was really good.
Yeah, good.